chickadees. Happy Monday. We're back at it again. Can you believe it? New year, all kinds of new things. Uh, I've made some selective choices in my personal life. Are you all decluttering? Because that's kind of what ends up happening to me at the beginning of the year. Lots of decluttering, trimming things down, getting lean and mean. Well, I don't know about the mean part, but mean with my goals and everything. So, although I did have to go back to the job today, that was a struggle. Not going to lie. That was a struggle. But hey, I made it through the day and here we are. And I thank you all for joining me this evening. Let's see who's with us. Hello, Kelly. Thank you so much for joining tonight. And Granny Debbie is with us. Melissa, hello, chickadee. Ava is with us again. Kelly, good question. It's funny you say this because this morning after I got ready and I looked in the mirror, I was like, girl, you are having a good hair day today. So, I don't know. I didn't do anything different with my hair. My hair got a break this weekend because I didn't do like anything really to it this weekend. I shampooed it and dried it. No hair gel or anything like that. So it probably has something to do with it. KS Granny, thanks for joining us. And Jen is with us tonight as well. Thank you all so much for joining me this evening. Make sure you do the like, subscribe, YouTube things, all the stuff. If you want to become a member, you can do that now. And I did do some updates to the merchandise. I don't know when it will become available on the YouTube channel because they go through a little bit of a process before it gets published. However, I will tell you, there's Make Good Choices merchandise. And there might be some kinky vodka also. So you might want to check it out in the next day or so. While I'm on the subject of the next day or so, we need to talk a little bit about the remainder of the schedule for this week. Court schedule. Karen Reed has a hearing tomorrow. Our friend Raul Valley has a hearing tomorrow. On Wednesday, I will be on Justice Served TV. I'm hoping to be able to put a post, if nothing else, a post that has the link on YouTube for all of you, just as soon as I get access to that link. And on Thursday, I am going to be back on Calling All Beings with our friend, Boston Bia. And we're going to be talking about mortgages, credit cards, and some savings, the stuff. And Kelly, I did see it over the weekend. I'll say that. Someone commented to me on the Twix and made it sound like Nurse Kim was dog talking me. And I was like, well, I need to go check this out then. What are we talking about here? So I did go and watch a portion of her live stream that she had, in which she did have very, very lovely things to say about me. And I likewise feel the same about her. I think that there is a mess in Massachusetts, and unfortunately, there are a few key people that are continuing to create drama. And at some point, the parties that are involved need to one by one start shutting it down. So I feel bad that she is caught in the middle of it. And so sometimes you just got to extricate yourself though. And you just go, deuces, I'm out of here. So, and yes, it was not derogatory at all. She said nice things. Yes. And that's how we always want it here. You know, unless you're Jennifer Nichols, then you're a heifer and we call you the Penguin. That's how that happens. Oh yeah, saying bad words. I know that's part of what Nurse Kim does. So it's okay. So what else can I tell you? Oh, I want you all to give me an idea after we watch the breakdown of this case this evening, whether you want me to do a full day stream of there were several preliminary hearings, and I mean like 8 hours worth of preliminary hearings in which a lot of people testified, and it is available for us to view. And if you're, after you get the basics of this case, if you're interested in us doing that, I'm thinking, you know, the 19th is a holiday for the federal government people of the world. And so I would be available during the day on that particular day to be able to do a full day live stream of those hearings. So keep that in mind. Hey, Peppermint PJ, thanks for joining us tonight. Also, if you're on the replay crew, thank you, my dears. And make sure that you put a comment. Several of you do that. I appreciate this. Appreciate that very much. Oh, Felicia, you must be a Michigander. And hey, Dizzy, nice to see you again. So yes, there's a full day that I can do. I may end up scheduling that. I think I had something else I was planning on doing for a live stream that particular day, but we will see how things roll along with this. So let's get into the summary of this case. I don't have any legal documents, but I do have a lot of the basic coverage for us. I don't like to do a ton of legal documents before we've ever gone to trial because I like the trial to speak for itself. So, and we supposedly that is supposed to be happening starting January 27th. So I don't imagine there will be any changes, but hey, Sarah Grace Patrick was supposed to go to trial today and they continued that sucker until August. So there's that. Who knew? I wasn't that surprised. They were pushing things so fast in that case. I was like, eek! And then today happened. So we'll be revisiting Sarah Grace Patrick at a later date again. All righty. Let's get into it. Let me give you a little bit of basics on this. If you don't know anything about it, some of you may not. Dale Warner is currently being charged with homicide in the death of his wife. His wife is Dee. She went missing in 2021. And there were several years spent trying to locate her or her remains. In the meantime, there was a declaration of her being deceased that took place, and there was a lot of other shenanigans, y'all. So I'm going to do my best because there's a lot with this to get you all informed on what's happening. So this first little clip is right at the onset of her, if I'm remembering correctly. I had to research a lot of stuff, y'all. So, hey, Jen, thanks for joining us. But yeah, I think this is like right when she went missing is when this particular clip is from. So here we go.
The search is on for a missing woman from Southeast Michigan. Police, family, and friends all want to know, where is Dee Warner? Welcome into WTOL 11 News at 11. I'm Melissa Andrews.
And I'm Jeff Smith. Warner has been gone missing since April. Tonight, federal agents and local police searched her home and the nearby property.
Tatiana Cash is the breaking news update on the search now 6 months after her disappearance. Tatiana.
Well, Melissa, what it is the fact that it was all hands on deck. So again, as we mentioned, it's the FBI along with Michigan State Police, DNR, and the Sheriff's Department were at Warner's residence with high-tech equipment, search and rescue teams, as well as canines, just looking for answers.
It's been 6 months and still no sign of Dee Warner. The Lenawee County Sheriff Department says this case has been ongoing all summer.
By the way, y'all, I tried to see if I could get any pictures of the interior of that house. I can't. I hunted. Y'all know me. I'm quite the stalker when it comes to that kind of business. So
we thought that this was a very prudent time to do a even more thorough search.
Sheriff Troy Bevere says they haven't gotten any new leads, but
we wanted to make sure that we covered every basis and got out here and did a thorough search one more time.
Ground sonar equipment along with canines and search and rescue teams scoured Warner's residence, looking, Bevere says, for anything.
We're just looking for any evidence that can point us to her whereabouts or her well-being, anything that we have that might lead us even to investigative leads.
He understands the community is still waiting for answers. And though there haven't been any new leads from anyone, Bevere says they may do a 2-day search to find any clues to the truth.
To find out, what happened and the whereabouts of Dee Warner.
I spoke with community members as they drove by asking what happened, and they told me they want answers. They are happy that some work is getting done, but they may have to wait for those answers, Melissa and Jeff, because authorities haven't said whether they found anything. But we do know that they'll be back at it tomorrow.
Tatiana, thanks.
okay, folks. So that was about 6 months after she went missing. And when did she go missing? I know that we'll get into a better timeline here. It was hard for me to decide what order to put things in for us, but I can tell you it was in the spring. I feel like April is when she went missing. The exact date I couldn't tell you, but we will get into it. I promise you that. The next clip I'm going to try to get my hands on. This would have been after, of course, I got to look back here. Give me just a second. This next clip. Thank you, Dizzy. April 25th, 2021. I knew it was April and I knew it was 2021. I wasn't exactly sure on the specific date. Thank you. This next clip is she was still missing. The family was trying to get her declared deceased. And then this popped off. So we're just going to watch this little clip.
Warner, the husband of missing Lenawee County woman Dee Warner, has been arrested for the second time after being found in contempt of court criminally. Christy Gerlach, she was the only local TV reporter in Adrian earlier today and joins us now live in the studio. So there were several matters the judge heard regarding the Warner case today?
Yes, that's right, Jeff. We were expecting the judge to make a ruling on if Dee Warner could be declared legally dead. However, after hearing closing arguments today, Judge Catherine Salas said she would issue a ruling within a week. She did, however, make a ruling regarding Dee Warner's estate. Check out this video from earlier in the courtroom. Judge Salas found Dale Warner in contempt of court, stating he intentionally and deliberately sold his wife's assets after being instructed by the court not to. She marked several examples of Dale's contempt, the most egregious being the selling of Dee's trucking company, which was the most profitable portion of her estate. Today, I spoke to Dale Warner's attorney, and in this rare interview, he continues to say his client is innocent.
Mr. Warner doesn't know what happened to his wife. I mean, he maintains his innocence. He's maintained his innocence since this first happened back in April of 2021.
Still today.
Still today. He doesn't know what happened to his wife. He did nothing wrong.
Now, on top of jail time, Dale Warner will have to pay a fine, attorney fees, and reimburse Dee's estate for the losses it suffered. If the judge declares Dee Warner dead, her family says they will sue Dale for her death and had the papers ready to do so today. Reporting live, Christy Girl at WT.
Okay. And Dizzy, I tried to put a comment that says, if there is anything you think I need, please send it. I'm happy to cover it. And YouTube rejected my comment for spam. So there's that. So if there is anything that you think I should be addressing, or documents or anything like that that would help all of us understand, please send it to me. I don't know why my comment was rejected. It's my channel, but okay. So moving on. The next thing I have is, this is going to seem kind of out of order, but there was a private investigator that was brought in to help the family try to locate Dee. Where the heck is she? And that is what this next clip is going to be in reference to, if I can just find it. There's probably an easier and better way for me to put these things in order here, but y'all know I'm a little technologically challenged. So there's not always the most seamless way to get all of this information. But I'm working here. I'll get us to where we need to be as far as the next clip goes. All right. Next up. Oops. There it is. This would be in reference to the private investigator.
Dee Warner's body has officially been found and identified, discovered at the property of her husband. It took 3.5 years of searching, not only to find Dee, but for answers surrounding her disappearance. Tonight, we'll tell you more about one of the driving forces behind finding her.
This picture appears to show Dale Warner watching his crews searched and dug across the street from where Dee's body would eventually be found.
It was the first day or two that we started looking at sites, got confronted by Dale Warner.
The first face private investigator Billy Little Jr. saw, the last face police believe Dee Warner saw, now front and center.
He went from 0 to 60 in a split second. And we're out in the field, Greg Hardy said, and all the time he knew him, he'd never seen that behavior out of him before. But he got lit up pretty quick, pretty aggressive. In fact, I thought we were going to fight.
A first interaction that left a long impression. Dee's brother, Greg Hardy, asked Little to help find his missing sister.
And I said, look, be careful inviting me in, because I go wherever the evidence lead me. I'm not distracted by somebody paying me how much I will or won't make off of this case.
He wasn't distracted by money because he hopped on the case for free. Little says he knew from the start this likely wouldn't be just a missing person case, but looking for remains.
Family members tried to get a pattern for who she was, the kind of stuff she ordinarily did, and see if this was anything that was out of character for her.
Work that would turn from days to weeks to years, until
there has been no plea deals with Dale Warner. The detectives were just reviewing evidence that they had, going over maybe some tips or some leads that had come in previously, and decided, yeah, this might be someplace that we want to check out again in case we overlook something.
Something right in front of them, something that would turn the case upside down. Human remains.
This took 3 years too long.
Creating a list of questions. Why was Dee dead? How was she killed? And who would be found guilty? With accusations of an abusive marriage in the Warner house, all eyes would turn to that man in the field day one.
But it's pretty common for women not to report it.
It being domestic violence, cases Little says he deals with often.
What advice would you give people that maybe don't know about domestic violence relationships? And what advice would you give people that are in them and are afraid to leave?
The most dangerous time for a woman is when she tells her husband, it's over, I'm leaving. That's the most dangerous time. And if you've decided that, like she had decided that, there was no reason for her to be there.
Little says if you are in an abusive relationship, there's no conversation to be had, just an exit plan to be made.
If you are going to go and confront him, which I think is a horrible idea, there's some things you can do to protect yourself. You can keep your phone on, in your pocket or whatever, and have somebody listening close by. You can do it in a public place. You can do it with other witnesses around.
Little says there are still questions to be answered in Dee Warner's story, and he, like many of us, are waiting as the trial plays out.
Jerk.
If you missed our special earlier tonight, Hidden in Plain Sight, the disappearance and discovery of Dee Warner, you can find it on our WTOL 11 YouTube page and our website.
Oh, don't you worry, y'all. We're going to do that. We're going to do Hidden in Plain Sight. Not the full interview that they did, but we're going to do a significant portion of it. Okay. Moving on. So I don't know if you all picked up on the fact that that tank sitting on the back of that flatbed is where her remains were. So, and Kelly, I don't know how long the two were married. I feel like I've heard 15, 16 years, but I could be wrong. I know they had a little one with them, but then there were other children that Dee had from a prior marriage. So hard for me to say. It may come up in something else that we cover here, possibly even in the interviews that we do. Okay, let's get to an article that is going to give us some background and maybe some more specific details. The stuff. All right. Well, bing, there she is. All righty. The remains of a missing Michigan woman have been found on a property owned by her husband more than 3 years after she vanished. On Wednesday, August 21st, Michigan State Police, different MSP, Michigan State Police confirmed that human remains found on Dale Warner's property were that of mother of 4, Dee Warner, 52, of Tecumseh, Michigan, who was reported missing on April 25th, 2021 from her home on Munger Road in Franklin Township, Lenawee County. Today, further investigation was conducted by the Jackson County Medical Examiner's Office on the human remains that were found on Dale Warner's property. A statement shared on the MSP account read, the Jackson County Medical Examiner has positively identified the remains as Dee Warner. Police confirmed Dee's death has been ruled a homicide. And Felicia is telling me that they were married 17 years. I was thinking it was in the teens, so thank you for that. The manner of confirmed, however, it will be withheld pending further investigation. Although there has been positive identification on the remains and manner of death has been confirmed, this is an ongoing investigation. Investigators will continue to gather evidence and work with the Lenawee County Prosecutor's Office to ensure a conviction, it concluded. After police confirmed the remains found were Dee's, Dale's attorney, Mary Chartier, told People, the latest update from the police is a tragic turn of events for all those who loved and cared for Ms. Warner. However, this does not change Mr. Warner's position, and we are prepared to fight for him at trial. Oh, and boy, will she. Yeah, I don't know if we'll have time to get into the hearing that took place last week, but whoo, yeah. The update in the case comes after police confirmed on Sunday, August 18th, that human remains had been found in a propane tank on a property owned by Dale. It's not a propane tank, it's an anhydrous ammonia tank, but regardless, owned by Dale during the execution of a search warrant on Friday, August 16th. The missing woman's family members said at the time that they believed the remains, which were found inside a weather-worn, secluded barn on one of Dale's properties off Paragon Road, were Dee's. The tank usually held anhydrous ammonia, which is used in fertilizer for farming, a family spokesperson previously told WTVG. The tank was reportedly sealed shut with a "do not use" sign on it, per the outlet. The family spokesperson stated the chemicals weren't in the tank when the remains were found. State police confirmed in a news release on November 22nd, 2023, that Dale had been arrested and was facing charges of open murder and tampering with evidence, stating he'd been arraigned in Lenawee County District Court. I am extremely proud of the tireless work our detectives have put in to solve this case, Captain Steve O'Neill, Commander 1st District Headquarters, said in the release at the time. With incredible determination, they have pieced together a very difficult case culminating with an arrest. This arrest is another step in our investigation, and we will continue our efforts to bring closure to the family and to find Dee Warner's remains so that her family can lay her to rest, O'Neill added per the November release. Dale previously pleaded not guilty and has long maintained his innocence. In June 2024, a judge ruled that there was enough evidence for him to stand trial for his wife's red rum. Yeah. Why do you have her remains in one of your anhydrous tanks? It's weird, right? It's not just me. That's weird, right? And you kept it on your property. What were you like? Sir, we need to talk. We need to have a little come to Jesus meeting here. Dale, honey, you did not make good choices. I don't understand why you keep it. What is that? It's weird. I don't like it. It's weird. And who are these folks? I think because she was missing for so long and there was justice for Dee and all of that, that is how it became known to the nation, really. Ironically, I didn't know there was a 48 hours that was done on this as well. So let's move along to the next piece here. Filling in the blanks here, aren't we? And I am anxious to find out. And that's part of why I don't want to spill the beans on whatever was in the preliminary hearing. And I believe the preliminary hearing and all of the testimony that was given in that is, or that proceeding was for them to declare her deceased. So I'm anxious to see, as you all know, as any good juror, the evidence come into the trial to be able to make a determination. And I am hoping that either Law and Crime Court TV or WTOL, which is local there, will have the proceedings live. And then we can watch it on the replay. All of usins. Next up, where is Dee Warner's husband now? So this was, I want to say this was in March of 2025 that this article came out. It is from Cinemaholic. And this should fill in some of the blanks. When Dee Warner went missing from her house in Michigan in April 2021, it caused her loved ones to feel concerned about her well-being and whereabouts, except for her husband, Dale Warner. While the search to find her or any trace of her was going on, the suspiciously indifferent mannerism of Dale didn't go unnoticed by the missing woman's family. Before her body was even found, he was accused of her murder and arrested by the authorities. The entire case is explored in a detailed manner in CBS's 48 Hours The No Body Case of Dee Warner, which also features interviews with Dee's loved ones and officials linked to the investigation. Dale Warner was cooperative during the search of his missing wife. Dale Warner was the second husband of Dee Warner, with whom he shared one child, residing on a farm in Franklin Township, Michigan. The couple owned 3 main businesses that they ran from their property, including a trucking business, a farming business, and a chemical company that dealt with seeds and fertilizers. Thus the anhydrous tank. When the 52-year-old woman went missing on April 25th, 2021, the police were informed about her sudden disappearance by her daughter, Raquel Bach. This would be a daughter, obviously, from a previous marriage. She claimed that her mother had gotten into a fight with a couple of employees in the trucking business the previous day and was not in a good place. Got to stay hydrated. Lots of reading to do here. The authorities went over to the farm property to learn more about the disappearance case. Upon questioning Dale about her, he corroborated the story of Raquel. He admitted that he wasn't too concerned about her because it wasn't the first time she left the house like that. He believed that she would eventually return to him after cooling off. When Dee failed to show up and remained missing, an extensive search was launched. Her brother, Greg Hardy, found the lack of effort from Dale's end during the search a bit suspicious. However, over the weeks following her disappearance, Dale had talked to the police multiple times and even cooperated with them during the search of his properties. He wasn't worried. He knew where she was. He's like, yeah, go ahead. Get the little sonar machines. Do it up. Do all of it. Yeah, check here and there and all of my land, because he knew it wasn't going to matter. Dale Warner was suspected of being involved in the disappearance of his wife by her loved ones. When Dale Warner felt the cloud of suspicion over him, he repeatedly denied any involvement in his wife's disappearance. However, her loved ones refused to believe him and tried to prove his guilt. In order to psychologically pressurize the suspect, Greg even paid for a billboard that read, "Help Dale Find Dee," which was put up near the Warner house. As the police talked to other witnesses, they learned that the couple was allegedly involved in an argument about their business, and Dee had asked for a divorce the night she went missing. What? Oh boy, that's when everything takes a turn. These kind of men don't like it when you say you want a divorce. Picture's getting a little clearer. According to one of her friends, she even asked her to keep her daughter with her for the night as she didn't want the child to witness them arguing. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, Dale, honey. Dale. Dale did not conceal the fact that they argued the previous night regarding business and infidelity. Oh boy, I thought this was all about businesses. Infidelity? Oh my goodness gracious. Here's my little box. It is named Pandora. Let me open it. Claiming that it was the worst argument of his life. Furthermore, he told the detectives that he had gone out of the house around 6 a.m. the following morning while his wife was asleep on the couch. I bet she was asleep forever. However, according to the investigators, the suspect's statements about the fateful morning didn't add up as there were lots of inconsistencies. Imagine that. What made him more suspicious in the eyes of the authorities was Raquel's claims of him being an abusive husband to Dee, as he had allegedly stalked her, put a tracking device on her vehicle, and was violent with her. Oh boy, we got ourselves a good one here, huh? Despite the best search efforts of the police and people in the community, Dee Warner could not be found and was eventually declared deceased. Dale Warner is currently awaiting his trial. In light of all the testimonies from the witnesses and circumstantial evidence against 56-year-old Dale Warner, the police arrested him on charges of open murder and tampering with evidence in relation to Dee Warner's disappearance in November 2023. That's not when she disappeared. That's when they arrested him. Maintaining his innocence, he pleaded not guilty to all the charges against him. Several months later, the investigators obtained a search warrant for one of his properties on Paragon Road, located about a couple of miles from the Warner house. During the search on August 17th, 2024, they came across Dee's remains hidden inside a resealed anhydrous tank. Upon conducting an autopsy, her death was officially declared as a homicide. In the same month, the accused defense attorney issued a statement following the discovery of the remains. He stated, I think it's a she actually, but the latest update from the police is a tragic turn of events for all those who loved and cared for Ms. Warner. However, this does not change Mr. Warner's position, and we are prepared to fight for him at trial. Dale Warner's trial for the murder of his wife, Dee Warner, is scheduled to commence on September 2nd, 2025, and last for about 6 weeks. 6 weeks! Sweet niblets, y'all. That's going to go right into Corey Richens. As of now, he is held up at one of the county jails while he awaits his trial date. 6 weeks. Oh, boy. Yeah. Thought he planned the perfect crime. Sure did. Sure did, Dale, didn't you? You're like, I got this. Hi, Christine. Thanks for coming on back. Um, 6 weeks. Well, looks like they don't do things quickly in Michigan. That's a long time. Okay. I am going to now play a video for you, yet another one. And this is going to give a timeline. If my notes are correct, it's going to give a timeline breakdown of what has happened in this case up to this point. All right. I got y'all here. Just give me a minute to add it so y'all can see what I'm talking about and we can all share it together. Christine, this is actually going to be a good time for you to come in because this is going to give a timeline of the case. Here we go.
The search for Dee Warner has been ongoing for more than 3 years. It's an investigation that started as a missing person case. Now, her husband is set to face trial on accusations he killed her.
Deanne Warner was 52 years old when she was last seen alive by her husband, Dale. Police say that happened in the early morning hours of April 25th, 2021. Family members searched the Warner home and the nearby woods. Weeks later, there was still no word from Dee.
Obviously, as time goes on, we are more and more concerned about her safety as obviously Mother's Day passed and she was not around and didn't make contact with anybody.
The Lenawee County Sheriff's Office continued to investigate. By October of 2021, there were more extensive searches. Still, no sign of Dee Warner.
We wanted to make sure that we covered every basis and got out here and did a thorough search one more time.
So I see several of you saying there must be tons of evidence and in forensics. I will say this, it looked like from me glancing at the hearings, and I like to watch the hearings and trial proceedings and things like that fresh with all of you. It looked like there might be some cell phone data, and we all know how tedious that can be to get into. And I would imagine since they were able to determine her manner of death, that she would have, that the medical examiner would have a lot to discuss on the stand as well. This is going to trial on the 27th of this month, Christine. Yeah, the only other reason I could think it could last 6 weeks is if you have a lot of pieces of the puzzle, if that makes sense. So this person knows this tidbit, this person knows this tidbit, this person knows this tidbit. So you see what I'm saying? So you have to bring them all together, and then it all of a sudden goes click, 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 click. But it takes a long time to get all those witnesses in. So yeah, I hope there's a lot of hard evidence. I would think a lot of the evidence is going to be timeline related.
1 year after Dee went missing, her family put out a reward in March of 2022. They didn't believe she was still alive and offered $50,000 to anyone who could provide information leading to her remains.
As far as what I would like to see happen, I would like to see this come to a resolution as soon as possible.
That reward stood unclaimed, and Dee's family brought in a private investigator, then went to a judge in September of 2022.
This petition that was filed is to have Dee declared deceased by the courts so that other pieces of the case can move forward.
Hearings continued for months as Dee's family waited for the court's decision and faced a difficult milestone: 2 years without answers.
On the one hand, it feels like a very short time, and on the other hand, it feels like 100 years.
My mom was my best friend. I talked to her every day. I still talk to her. It will be hard, but she's still with me, so I'll be okay.
Throughout the investigation, Dale's attorney argued Dee had packed up and left. He said Dee had done it before, and authorities confirmed the couple got into an argument before Dee went missing.
There's easy ways to get identification from the internet, from resources overseas. You can get identification. You can even get a different identity. It's possible today, I guess, to even get a new social security number.
Well, I think they're lying. 100%. I think that's their only possibility of a narrative that they think they can try to turn the public on, to think that the story of theirs about her vanishing was anywhere even possibly something that logical people could believe.
By May of 2023, no one had been charged in Dee's disappearance, but her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against her husband, Dale.
What the family wanted to do was have her declared deceased earlier so that they could put closure to the case.
We were a little bit shocked. That was not the way we thought things were going, based on their argument all this time that she's still in Mexico or somewhere alive.
Dale would be charged with contempt of court this past September. A judge said he ignored her ruling by selling off assets belonging to both him and Dee. 2 months later, in November of 2023, Dale was charged for allegedly killing his wife.
In disbelief, for one. I've waited 2.5 years for this day.
This would be Dee's daughter, Raquel, that was the one that it was spoken about the most in the last article that I read. Christine, I don't know if Law and Crime will be doing it or Court TV, but I believe the local news there has had really good coverage. So they may end up being the pool camera in this court. I don't know how it works in Michigan. So we're going to have to just hold on and see. I can tell you the hearing from last week, the cameraman was awful. I was like, I'm going to throw up watching this. It was all over the place. So it was definitely not Law and Crime or Court TV. I can tell you that.
To come, but the reality of hearing it hurt more than I could ever imagine.
Dee was declared legally dead just months ago, in March. A judge heard evidence to determine whether Dale would go to trial in May. That preliminary hearing lasted 3 days and was continued into June 7th, when the judge ruled Dale would face a jury on charges of murder and tampering with evidence.
State police did a fantastic job in conjunction with the local sheriff, right?
That's the hearing I was talking about that is about, because it goes over 3 days. But when I kind of added up all hours, it's about 8 hours. And of course, we can flippity flip and we can maybe, I mean, people in the north talk faster usually, but we can always speed up the dialogue also if we need to do that.
Great day for justice, great day for the community. Very happy for the family. Even though it's, you know, it's not really a happy day. Dee is gone forever, won't come back, but at least they're on the path to getting justice.
Searches continued, and Dale's trial was set without Dee's body until this past week when authorities uncovered a tank welded shut and painted over with human remains inside.
Michigan State Police say this is a continuing investigation, and it'll take testing and time to make an official determination as to whether the remains are those of Dee Warner. Family members tell WTOL 11 an autopsy is set for Tuesday.
So we happen to know that, yes, indeed, they identified the remains as being those of Dee. And
It's been
oh my
3 years
goodness,
since
Janet.
Deanne Warner.
And they also were able to determine a manner of death. I wonder if they were able to determine a cause of death. That's the next question. Okay, next I'm going to share with you kind of what the judge had determined in this case and when the official date was set. This is just kind of like a synopsis of some motions that were held. And so I'm going to get that prompted for you here. I'm trying to give you the most information that spans basically almost 4 years. So it seems a little disjointed or disconnected at times. I apologize for that. All right. This is I wonder if welding the tank put the dogs off the scent. I'm not sure. I'm super anxious. Why and how it came about that this private investigator was able to find or assist, at least, in helping to find her remains. I'm very, very curious about that. I know they're not saying anything right now. I get it. But I really super hope that this private investigator ends up testifying and we get all the tea. Because I want to know. I'm completely fascinated by it. Judge sets new trial date. Here's key motions in Dee Warner murder case. Dale Warner, the Lenawee County man accused of murdering his wife, Dee Warner, appeared by video at a scheduled motion hearing Friday in courtroom 1 of the Lenawee County Circuit Court. The hearing was part of the ongoing pretrial proceedings leading up to Warner's jury trial. The trial's start date was changed on Friday from September 2nd to January 27th, 2026. Ding, ding, ding. In order to accommodate the defense attorney, Mary Chartier. Tackling the defense's motions one by one, the following 5 motions were at issue before Judge Michael Olsaver. And I'll tell you, there were 5 more motions last week. Hey, 1126. Yes, thank you. Everybody click the like button, the thumbs up. So there were more motions. That particular hearing is about an hour long. We'll see how we do on time here. I probably won't be able to do it tonight, but we'll see when we'll be able to do that. I'll put it that way. I may be able to. If we do the day-long preliminary hearing on the 19th, I can maybe put that hearing from last week at the end of it. Motion to identify business record certifications for trial approved. The defense sought to set a reasonable cutoff date to identify business records in the case in order to have proper opportunity to prepare their case and witnesses. The defense asked for a 28-day period for when the final witness lists are due, which would give ample time to object. The prosecution had no objection to the scheduling order. The judge finds it appropriate and will include this in the revised scheduling order. Motion to compel discovery. Hearing approved. The defense sought to compel discovery, citing what they term a volume of incomplete. Here it is, guys. This is what I'm telling you. The defense sought to compel discovery, citing what they term a volume of incomplete text message records that the defense should have received and reviewed. They need to be complete. The state can't just give us records of the people who they choose to call, defense attorney Chartier said. She's a spicy one. I watched her in action last week. She's a spicy one. She cited messages that were missing from Greg Hardy in particular. If Greg Hardy is making statements to the media that law enforcement says is not accurate, we need that information. They don't get to gatekeep the information that police give to them. This has been kind of a mantra of hers. This is similar to what her messaging was last week in that hearing that took place. Mary Chartier, defense attorney for Dale Warner, argues one of 5 motions during a hearing on May 30th. Just because someone deleted messages doesn't mean they're no longer available. If messages were deleted, we are entitled to a jury hearing on potential destruction of evidence. Prosecutors responded that they have turned over all of the evidence. We have nothing in our possession. MSP has nothing left in their possession to turn over, said prosecutor Jacqueline Wise. Judge Olsaver granted the defense's request to have a hearing to investigate the possibility that there was or was not additional information that exists or existed. That's as far as I can rule on this motion at this time, the judge said. Motion to suppress evidence denied. The defense asked for a motion to suppress certain points of evidence in 2 search warrants and asked for a hearing. She sought an evidentiary hearing as she said the affidavits contain false information. In particular, she pointed out discrepancies in statements to detectives and what was said in text messages concerning Greg Hardy and Parker Hardy. I don't know if you all remember who Greg is. Greg is Dee's brother. Now, Parker, I don't know. Obviously another family member. I don't know if that may be Greg's son or if it's another sibling. In a statement, a detective said Parker and Greg Hardy told him they saw Dale and the anhydrous tank on April 25th, 2021. In text messages, however, Chartier said Greg said he obviously had not seen the tank personally. A spokesperson for the Dee Warner family says a body was found in an anhydrous tank on the Paragon Road property, which was searched on Friday. She also said the detective on the case had access to surveillance videos on the farm. Oh, we all got to back that one up. Let's read that again. She also said the detective on the case had access to surveillance videos on the farm, and she'd like to cross-examine the detective to ask when on the video Greg Hardy and Dale Warner crossed paths in the barn while Dale was painting the anhydrous tank. As she says, she doubts the detective will be able to pinpoint to that part on a video. I think we might be getting closer to finding out why they think it's going to take 6 weeks. Another point of inaccuracy, the defense claims, is that an affidavit claimed Dale Warner was alone on the farm. She said video evidence contradicts this and shows people all over the farm. Chartier said the affidavit's timeline that the anhydrous tank was cut open, welded, and painted shut by 6:40 p.m. isn't supported by video footage, as Dale was never alone long enough for that to happen. Oh, yeah. Oh, I am very excited. Is this going to be Let's hope it is an inverted video. We don't want to have another Sally Port mishap. Oh, that wouldn't be good. But there's video. Yeah, this is why it's going to take a long time. Because there's stuff. There's stuff, y'all. There's lots of stuff. The defense sought a Franks hearing, which is used to challenge the validity of a search warrant. Now, remember, that particular motion was denied by the judge. Moving right along. I feel Parker is Greg's brother's son. Oh, so he's the nephew. Okay, gotcha. And I think they interview you. I think you'll see Parker. He's her nephew. Moving right along, defense attorney Mary Chartier argues a motion for her client Dale Warner during a hearing before Judge Michael Olsaver on May 30th. What happened? Am I seeing this a second time? The prosecution pushed back, saying that this does not equate to a false statement and a Franks hearing cannot be held just for purposes of being able to establish a cross-examination later. Uh-oh. The exhibit showed probable cause for a warrant, the prosecution said. And they further argued that alone is best defined as separated from others or isolated, not that there's an absence of people on the farm. I agree with that. They argued there is no sufficient basis for a Franks hearing because there is sufficient probable cause, even if there were false statements in the affidavits from the detective, as the defense alleges. Judge Olsaver ruled for the prosecution on this point, denying a Franks hearing for the defense. If we omit the statements that the defense has argued are false, I believe the magistrate still had information that would support finding probable cause, he said. Further, the judge cited the video. The video footage. I'm so excited, y'all. Further, the judge cited the video footage from when Dee Warner was missing, noting Dale Warner is seen looking near the weld equipment and the anhydrous tank that was moved April 27th at the wet chemical barn. So y'all don't know this. When we watch the hearings, one of the individuals that testifies, they put a map up and it's like an overhead, almost like a drone shot. And the wet barn and the dry barn will become clear to you once we get to that point. So that's what this is in reference to. Motion to suppress preclude phone calls from jail. Denied. But full access is given to the defense. The defense sought to have 2 phone calls Dale Warner made from jail suppressed and precluded, claiming his Fourth Amendment privacy right was denied when police and prosecutors listened to them. She claimed that since Dale Warner couldn't afford bond, that has him stuck in jail. If he was wealthy and had the money to bond out, she said this predicament wouldn't exist. Unless they have a search warrant to hear phone calls, the request to hear these calls should be denied. If Mr. Warner had made bond and was at home, the government would not be able to listen to his calls without a wiretap. The government is going to try to handpick certain statements during certain calls. The defense acknowledged that jail personnel can listen to any jail calls as a matter of it being pertinent to the activity of the jail. But the scope of being able to listen to calls doesn't extend to every government employee, so police officers and prosecutors aren't entitled to hear the conversations. I don't know about all that. I'm not so sure. The prosecution pushed back, saying that the Fourth Amendment rights wouldn't extend to Dale Warner in this circumstances, since it is reasonable for the jail to record and monitor conversations of inmates. And these calls are therefore admissible by prosecution. We're not discriminating against poor people, David McGrady said for the prosecution, claiming that bond could be set high enough for a wealthy person to not be able to reach either. Rebutting, the defense said if the measure to suppress isn't allowed, then they would argue that all of Dale Warner's jail calls should be turned over so the government can't cherry pick the conversations they use. Olsaver said that the expectation of privacy under the Fourth Amendment is not reasonable in this circumstance, and the defendant was on notice that his calls were being recorded. A person shouldn't expect privacy in a jail telephone call when he or she is notified that they are being recorded, Olsaver said in denying the defense's motion. The request to have access to all of Warner's telephone calls is reasonable. However, Olsaver said, and he agreed to give the defense access to everything. I want to pause here for a minute because what she was arguing on Dale's behalf is that basically it was attorney-client privileged communications and that the prosecution or the state should not have had any right to listen to any of those communications. Here's the problem. At the beginning of the conversation, when you call a jail, they tell you it's being recorded and where the call is coming from. So you kind of entered that conversation at your own risk and at your own peril. And that's kind of what the judge said. Like, hey, man, I don't know how we can make it any clearer that anybody can listen to this. And also, is this like her first day being a defense attorney? Because I'm not even a defense attorney, and I know that you can request through the jail to either have a separate line that you call in that provides a confidential private line for you to discuss matters with your client as an attorney. I mean, does she not know that? How do you not know that? Like, what? Yeah, you talked about a bunch of stuff on the jailhouse regular call-in line. That is on you, Tootsie. Yes, lawyers get special lines to call their clients. Absolutely, Kelly. I'm like, woman, is this your first day? Again, I'm not an attorney, and I know that. What are we doing, lady? And she was very indignant about it, too. All righty. Moving right. Oh, or go in person. Oh, Felicia, absolutely. Or there's the option that you can go in person. Yeah, no reason you couldn't. Motion to change venue denied, citing what Chartier described as overwhelming content on social media regarding this case, including a step-by-step post made on the Justice for Dee Facebook page on how to be a shadow juror to get on the jury and no responses standing up for the rule of law. The defense said emotions of people in Lenawee County are too heightened for Dale Warner to receive a fair trial in the county. They can come on my channel. They can be a shadow juror here. I don't mind. We're all going to be jurors watching this case, as usual. After the hearing, Catherine Adams, a friend of Dee's family, who is also a spokesperson for the family's Justice for Dee movement, responded to Chartier's assertion of a shadow juror comment appearing on the group's Facebook page, saying she doesn't condone any such actions. I do not condone that comment that was reference to lying during jury selection on social media. It was not made by any of the admins on Justice for Dee or with our knowledge. I would like a fair and unbiased jury just as much as the defense so that we can rightfully convict the person that killed Dee Warner, Adams said. If the court were to deny the change of venue, the defense asked for the ability to explore mechanisms to make sure there is a fair jury. But the ultimate goal, Chartier said, was a change of venue. Justice is only served because of the Constitution. When members of the public forget that, it is up to the court to remind them of that. That's what we are asking the court to do, grant a change of venue, Chartier said. The prosecution responded by saying the defense is leaping to the idea that 12 fair people cannot be found and said that the court should not allow a change of venue. None of the things that he's talked about are unique to Lenawee County. Facebook is not unique to Lenawee County. To move to Monroe or Hillsdale or anywhere else would be facing the same problem, the defense said. Rebutting, the defense said that any media interview, I think that prior is supposed to be the prosecution said, to move to face the same problem. Anyway, rebutting, the defense said that any media interview in which Dee's family members speak members speak contain inadmissible evidence. Chartier said that putting a questionnaire in front of people won't change a thing if they are planning on lying. Olsaver said he shared some of the concerns about things that have been said online, and contrary to the prosecution's assertion, there are more than a few examples. However, the judge said he doesn't know if he agrees it rises to a level for him to say a fair jury cannot be picked in Lenawee County. Hello, Eileen Taylor from Scotland. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I have never been. I would love to go one day. I don't know that that'll happen unless I become a gajillionaire one day. He did say that it needs to be investigated further to determine whether a fair, impartial jury can be picked, and this can include a questionnaire that goes to prospective jurors far in advance of the trial, because he believes that more investigation needs to be done to see if a fair jury can be seated. He denied the change of venue at this time, leaving open the opportunity for the defense to re-raise the issue. Oh, there she is with her children. How sad. And I am not going to rehash this about the case since we have talked about the case already. But what a lovely picture of her and her kids. All right. Let me take you all to some of the crazy. So, one of the things that you don't know is that his son, Kelly, you and I are like on the same wavelength. Yes. His son was charged with accessory after the fact and tampering with evidence. I don't know a lot of the specifics, but I know the charges were dropped. So the son is not a part of any proceedings, is not being held responsible for anything at this point. So there's that. And then we have the crazy detective. What is happening with this detective? Let's go check it out. We're officially in Crazy Town with the detective. I need to make sure I'm getting the right thing here. Ooh, doggy. Well, that's fine. Because this is a whole different world. Are you ready for this one, y'all? Here we go.
Case. A former sheriff detective who once helped investigate her disappearance is arrested ahead of the high-profile trial. This man right here, Kevin Greca, was arrested last week in Ohio by U.S. Marshals after being accused of fleeing Michigan to avoid testifying.
This case has gripped the community since 2021. That's when Dee Warner vanished without a trace. Her husband, Dale Warner, was charged last year after police found her remains inside a sealed tank on his property right here. Lauren Kostick is in Lenawee County tonight with the very latest on the case.
Y'all, Kevin, we need to talk. Kevin, you are not making good choices. Why did you flee? I think he was arrested in Sylvania, Ohio, which Sylvania, Ohio is like right over the border. I mean, barely outside of Michigan, barely into Ohio. Oh, and thank you so much, Eileen Taylor. You followed this case from the beginning. And I'm so sorry that you're in that much snow. I'm sorry. I don't do snow. I don't do cold. I don't do snow. Nope. Those days are behind me. I lived in Michigan and all that craziness for far too long. Done. It's beautiful to look at from my home inside where it's warm. All righty.
This is very unusual. The prosecution said they spent 8 months trying to find this former detective, and he is listed as a material witness, meaning his testimony is crucial to this case, raising 2 questions. What does he know, and why is he so reluctant to tell it?
To say the process by which this has gone for coming on 5 years is frustrating would be the largest understatement on the planet.
Greg Hardy has been fighting for answers about his sister's death for years. And now there's a new twist. The lead detective from the original case is accused of leaving the state to avoid testifying. Kevin Greco worked for the Lenawee County Sheriff's Office before retiring last year. U.S. Marshals picked him up in Ohio last week after a judge issued a warrant to bring him in as a material witness.
This idea that he was a fugitive from justice, under the definition of a fugitive from justice, simply doesn't apply.
The fact that he's hired an attorney and he has appeared today does go a long way, but it doesn't change the fact that we had to look for him for 8 months.
Greco agreed to cooperate and also posted bond. When we tried to talk to him,
I have to go through my attorney, thanks.
any comment about your No comment. In a statement, the Lenawee County Sheriff said this is not normal, adding the need for a detainer should not be necessary. Returning to testify as needed is the right thing to do. This could have been avoided had Greco simply made himself available for subpoena service on the multiple attempts by our deputies.
That's really the question is why, okay? Why would you as a detective not be willing to be forthright, honest, and tell the truth about your involvement and whatever other questions they had for him? That's very simple. This shouldn't be this complex.
And again, Greco did post bond and is out of jail tonight. The trial, it is set for January 27th. Ty, back to you.
You know, that is the question, Lauren. Do we know why Greco wouldn't want to testify here?
Yeah, that really was the big question today. You know, it's not exactly clear what he will be testifying about or why he couldn't be found for months. But after being in court today, it is very clear that he is a valuable witness for this prosecution, especially when it comes to those early stages of this investigation.
All right. Lauren Kostick live for us. We appreciate it. Thanks.
Y'all. Is that insane or what? I am dying to know why. Yeah, what are you hiding, dude? Like, is he a friend to Dale's? Does he have some sort of connection? What is going on? He probably missed the tank. This is part of what drew me in, was this part of this case. Is I'm like, what's going on? What just happened? So, yeah. And how did you hear about this all the way in Scotland, Eileen Taylor? I'm curious also. The last thing that I'm going to share with all of you, it's a little bit of a synopsis. It's the hidden in plain sight that you've heard WTOL talk about that they've done. And there is a longer version of it. I am not going to play the hour and 15-minute version of it, but I think it's important for all of us. We know who Dale is. We have a little bit of an idea who his son is. We know what the brother and the nephew, a little bit about them, but I don't feel like we know a lot about Dee. And so this next one is specifically all about her. Yeah, was he pulling a Yuri? No thanks, no need to see that basement, Mr. Walsh. I have no idea. It's strange, isn't it? It's not just me. It's weird. I don't know why you would not. I realize you're retired, sir. I'm sure when you retired, they were like, hey, man, just so you know, there was this kind of big case around here that you were a lead detective on. We're probably going to need you to come on back for that and, do some words under oath. You get what I'm saying? unbelievable. I'm dying to find out how this is actually going to play out because wow. There is the beautiful Dee again. This clip, I say clip, it's a 25-minute synopsis kind of that will give us an idea of who Dee was, who some of her family was, and kind of what went along. I felt like it was important for us to watch this as well. And in the chat while this is playing, please let me know if you want me to do a full day of the preliminary hearing that went on for 3 days for them on the 19th of this month. So just say in the chat. And if you're not in the chat and you're watching on replay, you can put it in the comments.
Dee was one of the most caring and giving people you could ever imagine.
She was a good person. She was outgoing. She was spunky, to say the least.
She loved to be together.
She was a strong woman.
She protected everyone.
As far as the children, she couldn't be any better. And then when grandchildren came along, I mean, she just lit up like a star.
She was adamant that she is Nana and not a grandma.
I mean, this woman would step in front of a bullet for them in a heartbeat.
It was certainly tough for the family to face my sister's remains in a man-made tomb.
She didn't deserve this. And I know deep down in my heart that she wouldn't want her children to live in remorse and grieve the rest of their lives. She loved them too much.
The case is not closed, so there's more work to be done.
There's one person that could stop all this madness.
"52-year-old Dee Warner, a mother of 5, missing more than 3 years.
The case has captured attention from Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan, across the United States and beyond. Now, 1,228 days later, her body has been found. Her death has been ruled a homicide. And her accused killer is awaiting trial.
11 Investigates presents Hidden in Plain Sight, Dee Warner's story. Born Deanne Hardy, July 29th, 1968, missing April 25th, 2021, found deceased August 18th, 2024.
Dee lived here on Munger Road in Lenawee County with her husband Dale and their young child Angelina, just 4 miles from the spot that would eventually become her tomb.
Family and friends say they knew something was wrong when Dee didn't answer her phone or text messages.
This time was different. There's no doubt about that. The last time I ever saw her was Friday afternoon.
Her nephew, Parker Hardy, remembers thinking Dee wasn't herself in the days leading up to her disappearance.
I remember her getting out of the car. She was exhausted. She was babysitting my youngest cousin's youngest daughter. And I went to grab the baby for her, and she goes, "No, that's okay, honey, I got it." But didn't normally our relationship is giving each other a hard time, joking, stuff like that. She was just head down, just different. Was she defeated? I think so.
People who knew Dee and people who didn't came together to search. They combed hundreds of acres over the next few days and weeks. Hardy says the case hit a brick wall until his mom, Dee's sister-in-law, was watching true crime TV.
That was a total mistake of my mom watching 48 Hours.
48 hours! Woohoo!
She grabbed my dad was asleep. She grabbed my dad the next morning and she said, "You got to watch this guy."
That guy was Billy Little Jr., a private investigator. Dee's family says he volunteered his time and promised to leave no stone unturned.
This case will go on until there's an arrest, until there's a conviction in this case, until there's a civil lawsuit for wrongful death. That we are not stopping.
He said, I'm here to find Dee.
Pro
And he said-
bono.
Pro bono. And he said, if the case leads me to you guys, he said, it's going to lead me to you guys. I just want to warn you that. Yes, I'm sitting here in your facilities, but if you had anything to do with this, it's going to lead me to there. And we all said, go right on ahead.
Dee's family asked a judge to legally declare her dead in September of 2022. An attorney at that time for her husband, Dale Warner, said Dee had left before and may have just packed up for good this time.
There's easy ways to get identification from the internet.
Oh, Larry.
From resources overseas.
I don't think so.
You can get identification. You can even get a different identity. It's possible today, I guess, to even get a new social security number.
Not with
no
all
one
that
charged
family.
In Dee's disappearance by May of 2023, her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Dale. He would be held in contempt of court in September when a judge ruled he ignored the court's order and sold off assets shared between him and his wife. Dale would be charged with murder and tampering with evidence in November of 2023.
We are back on the record in the state of Michigan versus Dale Warner.
In June, a judge ruled he'd go to trial without Dee's body being found until August 18th, when police found remains in a tank on property Dale owned.
Ruh-roh.
Remains that would be identified as Dee's within 4 days.
Over the course of the next 30 minutes, we'll explore
not 30
Dee's
minutes.
life and the legacy she leaves behind. We sit down with those who loved her, including her nephew, whose farm we are on. We'll also hear from people leading the investigation and one man who volunteered his time to help her family make sure the case didn't go cold.
But Dee's life is about much more than how she died. Her family will remember how she lived.
Dee was one of the most caring and giving people you could ever imagine.
Caring in ways her family knew, and some they're still learning.
This woman would do anything for you once she got to know you. And there's stories coming in every once in a while of things that she did that we never even knew she did.
Dee would marry twice, have 5 kids, and 6 grandchildren at the time of her death.
She loved to be together. She would have all the farmers down to their barn, and they would have a big dinner. Dee was all about the glam. I mean, the food.
My
would
kind of
always be
lady.
perfect.
Hardy says that perfection and glam carried over into her professional life.
It got to a point where she was making the money. She knew what she had. It wasn't like she was spending out of control, where some people will say that from his family. It wasn't that. It was very much, she was just enjoying the finer things in life. She knew she had earned that money. She felt like she deserved to have the nice car, have the nice clothing, go nice places.
Heck
and
yeah.
Stuff like that, where he was the glitz and glamour didn't matter to him.
Him being her husband, Dale.
She was the driving force, in my opinion.
Catherine Adams started the group Justice for Dee and has been a lifelong friend of Dee's family.
She was adamant that she is Nana and not a grandma.
Even when they didn't want help, Dee offered and almost forced herself in to help at times.
And that family intensity, Hardy says, may have carried over into her public life as she dealt with people and handled business on and off the farm.
Dee suffered a little bit from, felt like she wasn't always socially accepted sometimes. Her personality was so strong that some people would shy away from it a little bit. Yeah, it could be off-putting at times when really she wasn't trying to do that at all. She was trying to help, but it was so forceful. I think a good example would probably be at the fair.
Oh, yeah.
She was so forceful. She wanted everything so perfect for her 4-H kids that some of the other parents kind of took it a little bit offensive at times. And that wasn't how she wanted to be, but she suffered with that, I guess, a little bit of social anxiety.
She came off abrasive.
Abrasive, but ambitious. An ambition her family says showed on the farm, in her trucking company, and being part of what they called a man's world.
Yeah, it's interesting they call her abrasive, but she's working in an industry, and she's successful in this industry, and it is primarily men in the industry. You need to have some moxie And so I'm certain she was fierce and intimidating. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you don't have a caring heart. It also doesn't mean that your feelings don't get hurt.
She had to prove her dominance, that she could survive in this type of industry. It wasn't like anybody was saying, "Oh, you're a woman, you can't survive in this industry." It's just, you know how it is when
Maybe she put it on herself too,
she did.
a little
I think
bit.
she did. She had a major drive to be successful.
But Hardy says
I can tell you, no one has to say I think Nurse Kim and I talked about this a little bit. No one has to say you're a woman, so therefore you're in a male dominated field and things are going to be different. No one has to tell you that as a woman. You know it. And I suspect she very much was the same way. And good for her for digging in, and she doesn't look like someone that would be strong. She looks like she could be a pushover. So I think it's great that she absolutely wasn't. I love that.
she never let that drive get in the way of her relationship with her kids and her grandkids.
As far as the children go, I mean, she couldn't be any better. And then when grandchildren came along, I mean, she just lit up like a star.
And would want each of them to remember the good times, the food, the fun, and the family.
I can hear her saying, "What's done is done. It's time to live your life now." And I know deep down in my heart that she wouldn't want her children to live in remorse and grieve the rest of their lives. She loved them too much. I mean, this woman would step in front of a bullet for them in a heartbeat.
Fiercely loyal, she sounds like.
At first, I thought she'd committed suicide. I really did. She was
that distressed.
She was that distressed.
Still to come, the shocking revelation after Dee went missing and why her family thought the worst.
Family members share their memories of Dee just moments ago here on their farm, and you heard about her strong personality along with a drive to succeed.
But another story has come up again and again over the last 3 years.
So what do you think she saw in him?
Power, success. She had a drive, as I mentioned, to be very successful. Her first husband did not have that at all. He was very just happy with what he had, you know, go from day to day, get your farming done, make a living, support your family. We're all happy. She wanted to build an empire, without a doubt.
You brought up Hatfield's McCoys when we were talking off camera, but just your memories, because coming into the family history, all of that, initial impressions, concern for Dee, obviously, going into a new relationship, things of that. Do you remember any of that?
Oh, I do. I don't remember it in exclusive detail, but I remember enough of it. It was an interesting time, let me tell you that. It was hard on the kids.
Why?
Because of the fights. There was just a lot, you know, when you have this wife swap situation, it just got he, she, they, theirs.
What?
And it was really hard on the kids.
Because you dropped the phrase wife swap.
Yeah, what's going on?
This was a scenario that you laid out, that you said, Dale was here, Dee was here, they were with other people, and there was a crisscross, essentially.
There was. Dee and Dale worked together at a custom application company.
A front door.
That's kind of what drove them to start their own. And so sometime at work they met, and at a certain point there was a divorce between the two couples.
I want to go back to the power thing.
Y'all. I did not have wife swap on my bingo card for this case. Oh my goodness. Here's some irony to that. So this exact same situation happened with my sister and her first husband. They did the same thing. The wife ended up marrying my sister's ex-husband, my ex-brother-in-law. And then my cousin, the exact same thing happened. Now, I didn't think that was common, but good grief. Yeah. Did not see that coming. So, all righty. Here we go. Absolute wife spot. Wow. Just wow.
Specifically, as those businesses started, how I guess influential was Dee? If she had this drive, if she had this initiative, and the two of them were already kind of conflicting in that sense, how involved was she in the businesses? How involved was she allowed to be in the businesses?
She was the driving force, in my opinion, and Dale was more of the quiet,
Look
just
at
did
that
the
spread.
work. He was doing the spraying, he was doing the farming. Like, Dee was the boss at the desk. Dee was in charge of the logistics, all the things, and she was always wanting bigger and more. And Dale just kind of rode along with her. I mean, he is a hard worker. I will give him that. But
Dale was the labor side of it.
That's a good way
Dee
to
had
say it.
this vision, and where Dale had the same vision, wanted it, but Dale was the one that would put the labor into it.
So
She was the thinker.
Do you think she loved Dale and Dale loved her at one time? Do you think there was ever love?
I think so, but I don't know that it wasn't always coated with that success story. That was really what she saw in Dale. Dale had this vision to build an empire. There was no doubt about it. And I mean, they took it by storm when they took her place down there and they transformed it into these new companies.
Family members say they will never forget the day that Dee went missing. For Catherine Adams, it only took a few days for her to realize that Dee wasn't coming back.
Police found Dee's remains just over 2 weeks ago on Sunday, August 18th, inside a fertilizer tank here on this property belonging to her husband.
It was a collaboration of a lot of things that led us to that point, without getting into huge detail.
Parker Hardy says his
can't
family
wait.
worked with police to get to this point.
My father and I were the ones that originally saw him about 2 days after, working on that very tank. And it was always a weird thought to me on why he was doing that. He said, I told the guys that I hadn't been able to sleep at night, his workers. Told the guys that I hadn't been able to sleep at night, and I would, if they bring a few of these rusty tanks in, I would paint them at night when I couldn't sleep down here in this fertilizer barn. No cameras, no nothing. He said, but I didn't mean that rusty tank. He said, I meant one of the ones on wheels that just had a little bit of rust. That anhydrous is very corrosive, so it will rust the outside of the tank, and every so many years you paint the tanks. Just lather some white paint on. And so that's what he said he was doing.
Wow.
In the back of my head, it was just very weird, but I drove out of there and kept working. My dad goes down the next day. That tank that he said he wasn't going to paint is still sitting there half painted now at that point. So that means to us, when we've been talking as a family, that she wasn't in that tank when I was there. She was in that tank when my dad was there the next day.
With her being so tough, you would have never ever thought that something bad would happen to her like that, because she's more than capable. She protected everyone.
Police found Dee's body 3 years later in a tank in this barn, Jeff, quite literally hidden in plain sight.
And what's fascinating is how close it was, just steps across Paragon Road, to an area that had already been searched.
This picture appears to show Dale Warner
Wow.
watching his crew searched and dug across the street from where Dee's body would eventually be found.
It was the first day or two
Wow.
that we started looking at sites, got confronted by Dale Warner.
What were some of those behaviors and statements?
He went from 0 to 60 in a split second. And we're out in the field, Greg Hardy said, and all the time he knew him, he'd never seen that behavior out of him before.
Take me through the investigation. What kind of leads did you get to? Evidence that you found? Kind of take me through where this led you.
Family members tried to get a pattern or who she was, the kind of stuff she ordinarily did, and see if this was anything that was out of character for her.
Work that would turn from days to weeks to years until
there has been no plea deals with Dale Warner. The detectives were just reviewing evidence that they had, going over maybe some tips or some leads that had come in previously, and decided, yeah, this might be someplace that we want to check out again in case we overlook something.
This took 3 years too long.
This has been a long, drawn-out case, but again, it's just our detectives have been working hard on this case, and for the prosecutor to authorize charges on a no-body case, that means they've got all their ducks in a row.
In this case, finding the body makes the case much easier.
There's one person that could stop all this madness.
In our final minutes, finding peace, but maybe not forgiveness, and the lasting legacy Dee leaves behind.
Just over 2 months have passed since a judge ruled Dale will go to trial for allegedly murdering Dee.
And no date has been set here at the Lenawee County Courthouse. And Dee's family says the trial will be different even as police searches continue.
I think it's because they're still trying to get more evidence. In fact, they were there searching yesterday. So I think that the case is not closed. So there's more work to be done. So before they tip their hat anymore, they want to get that.
I think they've got the cake right now.
Right.
They want the cherry on top of it. And we don't know what that is. That part we do not know.
We
what
have
that
no
is.
idea.
There's some cherry that they are looking for that we don't know.
Specific people know how she died. Was that shared with you? And is that something that you will ever, I guess, reveal, talk about? Does it serve any purpose?
Yes and no. I don't know where they're going to take it.
Oh.
As far as from a criminal side, going through trial and all that type of stuff. It's going to be important, I know, through trial. I just don't know exactly what avenue it will be important.
Oh.
We do know what happened, for sure. And it's not been released to the public officially yet. So we're letting the public officials do that.
Is there a murder weapon?
No.
No?
Not that we know of.
Okay, I didn't know if that was something that was...
I shouldn't say no confidently. I should say not that we know of.
Are you very confident going into the trial, or is there any concern?
Here's the thing with the jury. In a jury trial, it's all about convincing the jury. That's all you have to do is convince the jury. Or I shouldn't even say convince, but yes, that there's reasonable doubt. I don't know how you could turn this story upside down at this point. There was some cracks and crevices when we didn't have a body.
It's important to note Dale Warner has been charged but is considered innocent until proven guilty. He has not been convicted of any criminal charges related to Dee's death.
We did reach out to Dale's defense attorney to request an interview with her or Dale. She did deny that request. She did send a statement following the positive identification of Dee's remains. It reads, quote, "The latest update from the police confirms this tragic turn of events. However, this does not change Mr. Warner's position, and we are prepared to fight for him at trial."
Dee's family says even with the trial ahead, they'll find peace, but not forgiveness.
Ooh.
I don't know if you're religious at all. We do stories like this. Family deals with grief, and then they find peace. Peace with the victim, peace with the perpetrator. Will you ever get there? Do you think you're there?
I don't think I'll ever have peace with Dale. That's after the last 3.5 years.
There is no doubt in your mind. I know he's been charged,
Mhm.
but there is no doubt in your mind sitting here today that he is responsible.
No doubt whatsoever. I will never. I said in the very beginning of this, when I suspected him, I said, I want to be wrong. I really, really, really want to be wrong
I think we
about
all said
this.
that. I've been through this similar situation where my best friend was killed by a drunk driver. And kudos to the family. They're religious, and I'm somewhat religious, but I wouldn't call myself the utmost religious. They forgave him. And it takes some strong people to do that. That's what I will say. Some very strong people to forgive somebody that's done something to your family like that.
And while the name Dee Warner came into the spotlight after her disappearance, for justice has not quieted. Her family has pushed for answers, holding news conferences and vigils here on their property.
And that push has come from the community as well. And part of that hope, that message in the Justice for Dee campaign is not just about how Dee died, but about how she lived and how her story may be able to help others. We wanted to talk a little bit about Justice for Dee. And going forward, what does that operation mean to you guys? Will there be efforts from a state level as far as protections are concerned? Is it too soon to talk about that? Are these things that you guys have been thinking about the last 3 years?
So obviously we're not done yet. We still have to go through trial, sentencing, all that kind of stuff. So we still have a lot more to do for Dee as far as getting justice for her.
That includes an idea to secure crime scenes and areas of interest immediately when a person disappears.
Oh.
Something that Shelly, Parker's mom, actually really wants is to maybe, I don't know if she wants to do like county level or state level, but create something so that when a person goes missing, that first 48 hours is so critical and the area is just locked down until the police can come in and look around and search or whatever they need. Just that first 48 hours. Some states do it. Michigan is obviously not one. So that's something I would definitely like to do.
And Justice for Dee aims to support other families who may be dealing with a missing loved one of their own.
And I think this kind of tails back on your previous question about what Justice for Dee will become. I think it needs to become an advocate for people like us where there was no book. I think we need to, and it's an idea of ours that we're working on, we need to write the book of how you go through this process, because there was no step-by-step, okay, you're going to host a visual. How do you host a visual? All this certain things. I mean, we just winged it all. And we were fortunate to have the resources of close friends and stuff like that that had a strong backbone, and we weren't going to back down, and we just did it.
I think
off
just
of common
pure
sense.
stubbornness was on our side.
Dee's legacy will continue to be felt at the Lenawee County Fair, where Dee grew up showing animals, eventually becoming a 4-H leader. Now, children will have the chance to win the Dee Warner Distinguished Junior Member Award.
She just adored her 4-H children. I don't know why, to be honest with you. It was just something that was a natural thing for her. And I mean, she would stress herself out beyond belief for this little fair. It takes a special person to have that much passion to do that little stuff. And it takes money too. And so I started this yearly award in her name. What makes it special is we don't pick the recipient, the family, or Justice for Dee. I leave it up to the most important people, or the board members and the 4-H leaders that are working with the kids. They know the kids. I don't have the opportunity to know every single one of them, unfortunately.
Every year, the award will be presented to a junior member who shows excellent sportsmanship among his or her peers, showmanship, and passion for the industry and 4-H.
My goal is to make it something that the kids almost rival over in a good way. You know what I mean? It's meant to be, in my mind, one day a prestigious.
That was her. She was competitive.
Exactly. And that's part of it. And then also just a prestigious award to show, to say to yourself down the road, God, what an honor. I was honored, or I was recognized as somebody that Dee Warner would be thrilled to know and congratulate.
We end our tribute here in Franklin Cemetery, just a few miles from the family farm, where Dee will be laid to rest among her family members.
And Melissa, the family telling us it was important to get the name right on the headstone.
Dee forever etched in stone.
A lasting legacy for the life that Dee lived, and the community was a part of it all.
Wow. How about all that? So I got a few votes, and it looks like y'all want to go a full day on the 19th for all of the preliminary hearings. So we've got that to look forward to. I will check and see if I can get in communication with Billy Little, if anyone has an in with him or his YouTube channel, for me to try to get some dialogue started. Feel free to reach out to me, email, or direct message me on the Twix. I think it would be great to get his perspective on some of the investigation. And he may not be able to talk about it at all until after. And I have to tell you all, I had someone reach out to me over the weekend that is close to the defense team for Zachary Adams. And we had talked about some of the people in the gallery, and this individual was a hoot about the fact that we were all sitting trying to figure out what Amy Wyrick was doing in her closing argument. So I do love that part of being able to do this, because things just kind of fall into your lap. People that you would not have any sort of communication with, all of a sudden you're having communication with them. So it was fantastic. So one of the other things I did over these, I didn't work. Today was my first day back since New Year's Eve. And so I did a puzzle, and I watched a lot of football, and hey, my Detroit Lions beat the Bears. Ooh, ooh. So I also had the opportunity to finally watch the Eileen Wuornos documentary on Netflix. If you don't know who Eileen Wuornos was, she was actually executed, one of the first women, if not the first woman in Florida to be executed. She was a serial killer. But you all know, I like those cases where it looks like maybe they didn't get it right, or maybe the prosecutor was trying to do some tomfoolery. And I am not so sure, after watching that documentary, that she should have been convicted for the first man that she killed. Now, she did kill 6 other men. So there's that. But you still need to be honest in your case. You can't hide evidence. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that, because I was riveted by that. I absolutely believed all of the propaganda that was pushed out to the media back in the day. And I don't like serial killers at all. But someone that I work with was like, Janet, you need to watch this. I'm sorry. No, it wasn't someone I work with. My sister-in-law, the sister-in-law that goes to CrimeCon with me. She's like, Janet, you got to watch Eileen. You got to watch it. And so, otherwise, I don't. And she kind of says, like, the first was self-defense and the second one was self-defense. And then after that, I was just mad and I just killed him. I'm like, oh boy. Okay, you go on with your bad self, Eileen. So, yes, it was fascinating. So that was one of the things I did this past weekend as well. Tomorrow, Karen Reed trial, Raoul Valley. Let me check my docket. I did send the schedule out, but let me make sure. Corey Richins. Oh, yes. There's a hearing on Wednesday for Corey Richins. Barry Morphew has a hearing next Monday, and Brad Simpson has a hearing on the 20th, and good old Sharon Moore on the 22nd. So I'll continue to follow those, give updates, make sure that you follow me on the socials, because I will put updates when I get information. Like today, when I found out that Sarah Grace Patrick's was being continued, I did retweet that out to everybody. So then you will stay in the know. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this Mischief Monday. We're all back at it, into the routine, and I hope everyone had a fabulous new year. I'm excited to see what 2026 brings. and looking forward to spending more time with all of you and hopefully some really interesting cases. So with all of that, I am going to, it's killing me. I can smell the dinner that Mr. Demeanor made. It is Tuscan chicken and Caesar salad. So I'm dying to go get dinner. So I want to tell you all, like, subscribe, notify, check out the merchandise, do all the things. If you are on Replay Crew, thank you so much. And Kelly, my mod, thank you for keeping everything straight for us this evening and welcoming everybody in. And as you all know, it doesn't cost a penny to be kind. So find someone to do something nice for today if you haven't already. And remember to always